This week, I want us to work to dispel all your fears so that you put your trust in the Lord God of the universe, who cares for every need that we have anyway. Good morning. I'm Pastor Ernie Lewis of the Blue Point Church in Sisti, Illinois, with your thoughts for Monday. There are actually over 70 references in the King James Version to that phrase, fear not. And each time, God is reminding us that we can trust in Him. In Genesis 15:1, God appears to Abraham to allay his fears about the future. Of course, we know that God had already appeared to Abraham back in Genesis chapter 12 to call him to follow. He said there in Genesis 12:1, "Get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house unto a land that I will show you." That sounds kind of scary in itself, uncertain at best in the future that God had for him. And after Abram had traveled over much of that part of the world, he still did not have that promised heir that he and Sarah were awaiting even now in their old age. So God appeared to him again in Genesis 15 and verse 1. And he said, "After these things, the word of the Lord came to Abraham in a vision, saying, Fear not, Abram, I am thy shield and thy exceeding great reward." Now, Abram had just gone out and fought against the enemy. He had showed the might of God when he overcame the kings of the east. He had 318 trained men. We know that these were not soldiers, battle ready and such like. But he had overcome the enemy and brought back Lot and his family out of captivity. And after experiencing this battle with the enemy, God comes to him to say, "Fear not." Doesn't it seem like that God should have given him this pep talk a little before he went out and fought the enemy? It's sometimes hard for us to imagine all the scary things that Abraham faced to get to this place. Abraham had heard from God saying, "I'm calling you to leave everything behind, your family, your home, and travel to a land that, I will show you." He had probably faced some desert lands along the way. He had certainly faced enemies as he traveled through their own territory where they inhabited these lands. He had experienced loneliness, leaving his family behind. And besides being so discouraged that his heir had never really been born, he and Sarah are now getting old and surely many years past the age of bearing children. The first promise he receives in this vision is, "I am thy shield." After facing so many difficult things on the journey, he should have already known that, right? God had protected him to go against Abimelech, the king of Gerar. He had already delivered him and his men from Kedar-Laomer and those 5 kings of the east who had gotten together to overrun the area. But every once in a while, we need that encouragement again from the Lord. That line that says, "Listen, I am your shield. I'm going to keep back all those dangers that you're most afraid of. Please don't be afraid of the future. I'm your shield. I'm set up there to guard you." He also had some doubts about his seed that God had promised him. And God gave him this reminder in Genesis 15:5. He brought him forth abroad and said, "Look now unto the heavens and tell the stars if thou be able to number them." And he said unto him, "So shall thy seed be." I'm still going to keep my promise to you, Abraham. I'm giving you all those things I've told you because you've been faithful to follow me. God also said, "After all, I am your exceeding great reward." Seems like Abraham thought that son of promise would be that great reward. Or maybe this new land would be that great reward. So when we get discouraged and we think maybe we're missing out, we need to remember, God says, "I am your exceeding great reward." You can trust in me. I have great things for you. Not only am I going to be your shield, I have great things for you in the future. And what more do you need? Please do not be afraid, he said. Fear not.